Are you ready, Randy? Because we are going to install a motherboard into this system right here. Now, I've been getting a lot of emails about this. It's really the starting point for a computer system. And it's one thing that, a lot of people, they change a lot of different things in their system. But a lot of people are a little intimidated when it comes to the motherboard because that's where everything plugs in and it's the kind of the core of your system. Well, I'm going to make it nice and easy for you guys. First off, let's go over what you need. Now, in the box with your motherboard, you should have, of course, the motherboard. You should have a bag of screws. Well, actually, that comes with the case. But you need to locate the bag of screws that came with your case. Those are important. And also, with the motherboard, you should have an in and out panel that looks something like this. You'll need this because this will, you'll attach this to the back of your case. So the in and out panel works correctly. Also, have to have an orange screwdriver, absolutely essential, and it must be orange. Don't ask why. It's very important. It's also a very good idea to ground yourself. You want to pick up a bracelet, something like this. Now, what this does is this will remove any charge from your body. A plus or minus charge will, it can short out your system. So you attach this to your wrist, just like a bracelet. And then the other side is a little set of teeth. You attach that to any metal that is properly grounded, and then you will be grounded. Now we're going to look at the motherboard tray. And if you notice here, there's all kinds of holes here. And what we need to do is we need to install some risers so that we can install the motherboard. Now, different motherboards, you have ATX, you have BTX, you have micro ATX. Depending on the motherboard, you're going to install some risers in different spots. So I'm going to show you how to do it for the ATX right now. All right, now when you're installing the risers and when you're installing the motherboard, some cases make it very easy. This is a very large enthusiast case from Silverstone. And one thing that's nice about this one, when you want to install your motherboard, you just pull out the entire tray like this. Then you can build your system. You can install all your screws, and then you just slide it right back in when you're finished. I already have a more typical case here that a lot of you, probably more similar to what you're going to be building at home. And most of the guys that pick up one of these usually already know how to install the motherboard. So let me get the other case out because it already has the screws installed. And we'll show you how to install it on that because, like I said, it'll be more like your experience at home. All right, we've got a case here from Ultra. I believe this is the Blaster, X Blaster. And move all these cords out of the way so we can see. Go away. All right, now, if we take a look here, all of the screws or the risers are pre-installed, and this is ATX form factor. This is the way you're going to be doing it at home if you're going to be installing an ATX motherboard. If you're going to be using a micro ATX, usually you just remove a few of the screws from the back end here. And another thing that's nice if you're using a BTX or any other kind, one thing that's very simple, if you want to go online to find just a diagram of where the screws go, you can do that. The easiest way to do it is you just kind of match up the holes on your motherboard. You just kind of hold it over top and match up where the holes go, with the screws. So that's a very easy way to do it. All right, now with this one, the first thing we want to do before we put the motherboard in there is install the in-out panel on the back, and that's this. We'll need to put that there so it'll, kind of hold it in place and everything. All right, now when you're installing this, always note that the audio always goes, it's closest to the PCI slots there. Audio almost always goes down. So let's go ahead and put that in there. All right, you just apply a little pressure, you hear a little snap there. There we go. Our in and out panel is installed properly. And there's maybe a few flaps there. You want to bend those out of the way so your components don't get bumped by them. All right, now we're going to turn it around and lay the motherboard into place and get ready to install some screws. One thing nice about that in and out panel, it should match up, exactly. That's going to be actually kind of your guide when you're installing the motherboard. Just match this up with the in and out panel that we just installed in the back, and all the screw holes should be right where you want them. All right, let's go ahead and put it in there. Down here, all right. And as you can see, there's several little grounding contacts here, and these will just, ever so slightly lay against the ins and outs, the USB, the Ethernet, and that'll just help ground the motherboard. All right, now it is time to install some screws. You want to make sure you install all the screws because sometimes one of the risers in the bottom, you won't have a screw in it. It'll make contact with either a transistor, it'll make contact with something on the bottom, and it can create a short. And then when you turn your system on, your system will either come on and off, or it won't come on at all. So install all the screws to make sure it's grounded properly and you don't get any shorts in the system. Now, typically, before I install all the little front panel connectors like the power button, the hard drive LEDs, and that sort of thing, I would go ahead and install a few more components. but right now I'm going to show you how to do that. Now this is one thing that I don't really have a lot of fun doing. It's a little meticulous. These things are small, and on most systems the layout is a little different. So one thing you're going to need your motherboard manual. You need to open up to the page where it shows the front panel connectors so you can properly install them. Now as you can see on this connector here, very small right there at the top, there's a little arrow. Well, that is the plus. So in your motherboard manual where it says plus, that's where the arrow is going to go. Alright, so the first thing I usually do is install the power switch. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, now when you're installing this, it really shouldn't take much force at all. You just kind of press them down until they're flush with the bottom. Alright, so the power is installed. Alright, we're going to do the reset switch installation now. Now if you're a guy like me and you have larger sized hands, this might be a little difficult. One thing I recommend, call the wife in. She loves to help build computers, at least mine does. Alright, next is the speaker, and this will give you a beep. It'll give you the post when you turn on your computer. It's very important because if your computer doesn't post, you know something's not plugged in correctly. And the last thing I'm going to install is the power LED, and that, you know, it's the light that comes on when the computer's on. So it's also handy. Right now, since we're working on the front panel, let's go ahead and hook up the audio so you can plug up your headphones or your microphone. Let's also hook up the FireWire, and we're going to hook up the USB so you can have all your front panel connectors accessible, and you have a little power going to those things. Alright, now this is pretty simple. On your motherboard you'll see several little risers. Some will say USB, some will say 1394, well that's FireWire, and then some will say audio. So it should be pretty simple to do. Now if you're using a sound card, you'll just plug the audio into that sound card. It's actually very simple to do. If you can't find it by physically looking at your motherboard, just pull out that handy manual again and you'll be ready to go in no time. So there you have it. Now it looks a lot better than it did before with that, you know, vacant cases. You know, they deserve a good motherboard, and when you guys are building your system, it deserves a good motherboard and it deserves a proper installation. So I hope you guys have stayed grounded, and I hope you guys have learned a little bit about this. Now, like I said, all you need to do is hook up your power and plug in all the rest of the accessories, and you're ready to go. Now, if you guys need some further help as far as installing, you know, CPU or installing some hard drives, stay tuned for our other how-to videos. You'll find them right here at news.tigerdirect.com. If you guys have any questions about this, feel free to email me, logan@tiger.tv. I will see you next time.